Yo, what's up, y'all? Listen, I got Zarinah Lomax on the show. Don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Watch it. You'll be blessed. Watch the show. Welcome to the Encouraged Talk Show. I'm your host, Harleen Bloodsaw. And I got I got Zarinah Lomax on the show with me. Z, what's up, Z?
Hey,
What's going
everyone.
on? I want to start with the molestation, when you went through molestation and you went through rape. And I want to talk about the beginning stage, like the part where it first happened. Like, what was that like when you first experienced you being raped or touched or molested?
Well, you mean, so I was just, so basically what happened was how it started was my uncle started, the touching phase. Basically, more so when somebody molests you or gets you prepared to do whatever to you, they normally start that probing. So they'll, do more for you, be super nice to you and stuff like that. So that's how that
Mm-hmm.
went. He was literally my favorite uncle ever. So I was really,
Mm-hmm.
really close with him at the time. And then it moved from touching to him, starting to have sex with me in every capacity, oral, regular, all of that. And that started around the age around like 6 or 7. Yeah, it was definitely 6. I remember being in my first grade uniform. So yeah, so that started then. And then I told around the age of 8. Mm-hmm.
So how was your mindset after that? Once you experienced that, like what was your mindset like?
Well, your mindset is never the same. I tell people all the time, when you have someone that you love, or not even someone you love, when you just, when you're a kid or you're living in life, period, and you're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing life in a way that you expect for it to go, and someone
Mm-hmm.
comes in and changes that completely by, taking your innocence or doing something to you, because you could be an adult and be raped. It's literally like a spiritual death. And I always say it's like a death because the person that you were dies in that moment, and you literally have to become someone else. And so what I didn't know at that time, of course, is I was more in victim mode, but I didn't know what that was. I thought that, I was over it, if you would say, as I got older. But you really have to learn how to live again and what life looks like, because of the
Mm-hmm.
factor of what life was is dead and gone.
Mm. Wow. So your father is in prison, right?
Hmm.
Father's in prison. And you went through the whole thing with molestation and the rape. Like how did you deal with having to deal with that and then not having like
Having
your
my
father
dad.
around? Yeah.
It's interesting because I went through something this week, and I've just, I have been going through what the effects of molestation causes in a family for years. I remember my parents thrived, like they were just so full of life prior to this happening. It doesn't mean that they don't have anything going on now, but I just remember how my parents were just so full of life uh prior to that happening. And I remember telling my girlfriend actually yesterday, like, I'm just being honest, that some days I wish I didn't tell, because I watched my father get back on drugs real bad, in and out of my life up until 17. And then when he did come back into my life at 17, he was only in my life for a couple of months, because a few months later, he got into an argument with a friend and stabbed him, and the guy died, and now he's serving a life term. But the money that my father was waiting for the man to give him was money for me. And I always felt as though he overcompensated in that area because of the fact that he knew he wasn't around. And so that's another part of grieving, for knowing that, that situation, being molested, tore that relationship apart from my dad. And he kind of felt like he had to overcompensate in a lot of different things with that, because he wasn't physically there and didn't walk me through the process. My mom was there. So that in itself has been a lot. So we still don't have a good relationship at all. And that is really something that I have come to just accept, that we may never, because you have to be able to do that, because it becomes a distraction if you focus on what is not instead of what is. So yeah, I that's how that went.
Yo, that's crazy. I think about that, like, with women, like not having their fathers around. Like I got like friends and stuff like that that, don't have their fathers or,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have their fathers around. And, that's like a missing,
Oh
piece.
yeah, oh
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
and still is, because I'll be 38 in June, and
Mhm.
still never really having. I've never had a man sit me down and tell me, how a woman is supposed to be treated. And I didn't see that because my father didn't treat my mother well, and my father doesn't treat me well. So when you have the narrative, and I have uncles and stuff like that, I'm not about to say in line and say I don't, but that didn't happen. My uncle Dice, who passed away, was really a big part of our lives. That was one of my mom's best friends. That was my uncle. But someone actually sitting me down and saying, listen, you're a beautiful girl, you don't have to do this, you know, you are a man is supposed to treat you like this. I never had that. So it definitely affects your relationships, especially relationally, when you are, you know, trying to build out a family of your own, because you are, you know, that's the place where you get that first period of love. Your father loves you well. You know, daddy's girls is absolutely true, but I didn't have that. So I had to find out what love was through trial and error. And it was a lot of error because I thought what love was attained to what my uncle did, because he took something from me. It was a form of love to me. So when I got in a relationship with men, I gave all of me. They took something from me. So this has to be love because they're taking so much. This has to be it, when it's actually completely opposite.
Wow. So now, like right now, with all the stuff that you're doing, like right now, how are you learning how to be able to, you know, give out some of the things to different people that you may have not have received from like your father?
I give it to him because of the fact that I remember of what I would have had. So when I look at someone, or when I hear someone tell their story, or you can see a person in there just like really almost like we say the sunken place in their eyes, where you can just tell there's no light there. I really love to just be able to, even if it's just a hug, or to ask somebody how they're doing, and really honestly listen and let them know they're being seen. That's normally how I do that. I will say that I still struggle with overcompensating myself, where, you know, the stuff that I've done has literally caused me to go broke because I gave so much. Again, this is where you don't realize working to prove yourself when you don't have to do all of those things for people. So I'm learning I don't have to do that. Like, the people that's going to love me and be there for me are going to be there, period. And that's in community, that's family, whatever. Like, I finally got to that space to know that that is okay. It doesn't mean that I'm all the way settled, but I know that I don't have to do so much for people. But when I do something for people, or when I do see that they're missing what I wish I would have had from my father, I normally just basically try to love on them and let them know that they're seen by listening and hearing what they're saying.
So I don't want to go too fast. I'm trying to stay in this lane a little bit.
Okay.
So you, like, when you experience like the rape, and you know how people go through different stuff because of like the rape experience and the molestation experience, they have all of these different like affection issues, and
I still
like,
struggle with that.
controlling and you deal with it. Like, explain
real
that.
bad. Look, it's absolutely hard for me to hear somebody tell me that I'm beautiful. Absolutely hard, especially when you've had bad relationships in between. I'm still like, people always tell me, oh, you know how people give you comments? I'll be like, oh, girl, you too. Or I'll come up with something else to say about them because I can't just take the compliment for myself. I definitely struggle there. What was tell me the portion of the question, because it was something else I was about to say and I lost it.
It was like no, because you look like me when I do that a lot.
I was like, wait, I was going to say something. What? Yeah. Wait. Okay. Yeah. The other thing is too, when it comes down to affection, is, you know, I don't really like to be touched. I remember this guy I was dating had told me, it's not that I don't like to be touched effectively, but if you touch me behind my back, like, that kind of can be a trigger. If somebody yells or make me feel rejected, that's a trigger still. And I am a person who, if I see a red flag because of what I did, when you are a kid, or when you are about to be raped, it doesn't matter how old you are. You know when something's wrong. You know it. Everybody has that. God has given all of us discernment where we know if something's wrong around us, if somebody's spirit is off. So when I ignored those signs, if you would say, from my uncle, and didn't tell what was going on prior to it happening, because I could feel what he was doing. I knew what he was preparing to do. Now, when I see red flags, bro, like, when I tell you, I be out. Like, my girlfriends just said something to me 2 days ago. I'm telling you, this has all been my week of like, Z, like, you be like, and I meet people all the time, and it's not no pride thing. It's just, we live in a world, like, I meet men all the time. So if I see one thing, I'm good, and I will hold on to that one thing. You could do 50 different things, but I will still go back to like, but no, he did this, and then my mind is like, I'm afraid to be hurt because somebody can't hear me.
Yeah, I can
Y'all
hear
can't
you
hear
now.
me at all?
I had to come out and come back in. I can hear you now.
Okay. Can y'all hear me there? I know it's people still on here. So what
Can
I
y'all
was
hear?
saying was,
Okay.
I don't know if they could hear me. Could you guys hear me? That was weird.
Yeah, I know.
There's people on there. I don't know if they could hear us say. But again, what I was saying was one of the biggest issues is that I had when you talked about relationally because of being molested is okay. They could hear me, but I'll share it back with you. Is if I see a red flag, I hold on to that. Like, because of what I was saying prior to you couldn't hear me, is that when I saw the red flags with my uncle and what that did to me, I didn't do nothing about it. So before I allow somebody to hurt me like that again, because that's what you're thinking, I basically will run. So you could be the nicest person in the world, but if I see one little thing, like I will hold on to that. And I was saying my girlfriends were literally just saying these things to me this week, like, Z, you meet these guys and they be nice or whatever the case may be, and you run, but I'm abstinent. So because I'm abstinent and I put myself, because I've been abstinent for almost 10 years now when I got saved. So I've been engaged, I've been in relationships and all of those things. So that's similar to the factor of going through a lot of rejection, because a lot of people don't understand that. So if I see something that reminds me of that, and then you've also had that whole trigger and trauma from being molested, it's on like a million, because I don't answer your calls. I be ghosting. I'm just being honest. I be ghosting. I be ghosting them, or I'll find something about them, or I used to do stuff myself, like say little things so they would stop talking to me if I ain't have enough shrimp to stop talking to them. I'm just being honest. So I'm getting better with it, and that's a shame. But this is what I mean, where people don't understand how much they might take it as, it was just a moment in your life, but you literally do go through a lot growing up, and you have to really figure out a way to love again because somebody took your innocence from you.
Wow.
And then telling you that when they're doing it, when it's somebody that just comes up and rape you don't know them, I'm not saying it's not bad, but it's a little different when somebody's telling you that they're doing this because they love you, and this is what uncles do, this is what daddies do, or even when women do it too, because women molest people too. When they keep telling you that this is what they're doing because they love you, even though it's not true, in the back of your mind somewhere, or in your spirit, because we're spirits first, spiritually, that's still there. So you really have to be, this is why my relationship with God this is why I pray as much as I do, because every single day is survival mode. Like when people talk about how they in 28 years of recovery, well, Zarinah's in 30 years of recovery, because you have to every single day decide that you're not going to allow the effects of what somebody did to you be the trajectory of your life.
To hurt you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep, man. Like I got, like I said, I got like friends and like parents. I got parents that been through it, and I bring up like the part where like the affection issues, because like
yeah,
my mom deal with that, and that's a big thing. So you do a lot of things in production too. So you have your own talk show. How does your experience being raped and going through what you went through transfer to the production part of you?
It's the only reason why I do it, because I be wanting to quit every day. I'm just being honest. Like when people don't I'm not coming against nobody's shows, because I watch all types of different TV, but I'm not talking about Rihanna and them, I saw them out, or, we flew over, or making fun of people who don't know how to have sex and making fun of, this is traumatic stuff that I'm talking about. So every single time that you're talking to people, and I do stuff with gun violence too, and it's because Don was murdered, but every single time that you are telling a story, you have to tap into the place of where you were, because you have to tell the story from an empathetic place, because if you don't, then the person that you're trying to help heal, and it may not be the guest, it may be somebody watching, they won't, because you won't be relatable. So you absolutely have to go there every single time. So on the days that I don't want to do this, like y'all will notice, like I'll be going for weeks, and then y'all won't see me for like a week. I have to do that because I be having some weeks, some days I'm like, I'm off this, because I have made a lot of sacrifices in my own personal life to do this. And people don't see that. Like, I'm not just getting on here and telling some story. I talk to these people on the phone. I try to support them as best as I can. And to have to basically consistently do this and sometimes feel as though it's not, I won't say y'all, it's not appreciated, or you feel like you wasted your time. And it doesn't mean it's not. This is just how you feel. Sometimes you be like, I don't even want to do this no more. So because of what I went through and knowing that I stayed in a place for a long time because nobody came to get me is the only reason why I do it. Because I think of, is this the day that if I say I'm not going to do it, is this the day that God may be able to heal this person? Is this the day that God may be able to have somebody watch and they hear this person's story and they live their life and they get saved, or they, you know, if they don't even follow Christ, but they decide that they're going to live life. Like I have to, because it's a life or death situation. All of this stuff is definitely life or death. So when I tap into that and I do it that way, that's why.
Wow. So your show, Zarinah, the Zarinah Talk Show, because I was about to forget, Zarinah Talk Show. Like, how do people, or at least what are some of the messages that you try to help people with, you know, different people that come on your show and you talk to? Like, what are some of the things that you try to help them with when they come on the show?
The biggest thing is only one message. You don't, to live as a survivor, you don't have to live in victim mode. Like we just talked about how I said being molested as a kid, like I lived in that space for a long time. So that's the overall message, is that you do not have to live your life as a victim. Whatever happened to you is what happened to you. God desires to use it, but you have to decide if you're going to live your life. Because I'll give you an example. My uncle, I remember when I got saved 10 years ago, and God had showed me to actually inbox my uncle and tell him I forgave him, right? He never responded. He blocked me. But I didn't care because it wasn't for him. It was for me. So in that moment, I was free from what he did, and I began my journey to heal because of the fact that I had decided that I was no longer going to live off of what he did to me. So that's the message of the show. When people are coming on there sharing about, this is what happened to me, but this is where I am, or this is what happened to me and I'm stuck here. Can someone, that's the whole message of the show. But the overall message is that to live as a survivor, because you surviving every day out here from something. Everybody has gone through some form of trauma. So just because I was molested, or I have a father in prison and down paid, all of those different things, that's not everybody's story. But there's something that took place in someone's life and you have to survive from. But it's a choice, because there's a lot of people that don't choose to survive from that thing. They allow it to destroy their lives. You just talked about it with relationships for me. So I had to make a choice every single day. Like, listen, you're not going to live in that mood. You're going to do what God called you to do. You're going to press through. And that's the message of the show.
Wow. So you had another show too, called Talk the Walk. And you had a lot of people that came through on that show and received a lot. What are some of the things that you could say that people, or at least you feel as though that people really received on that show?
You want me to, honestly?
Honestly, yeah.
I won't talk about, I'm going to tell you a story about somebody that was working there. It was a girl. Do you remember Katura? I don't know if you remember her. Do you remember Katura? When Katura first came to my show, she was, and I'm not saying because somebody don't follow Christ, I'm not, this is not what this is about. But I remember when she came, she used to listen to me and ask me why I lived my life the way I did, because it would come out through the show and we would talk in the background. So I'm not even talking about a guest, and this is how God will use a thing. But Katura, I didn't know had colon cancer. Remember, nobody knew Katura was sick. So Katura was coming and was talking to me about God all the time. Z, I see how you live for God. Z, I see how you don't do these things and this and that. And I'm watching God bless you. And we would sit and talk about my story all the time. When Katura died, I was sick because I didn't know like where she was spiritually. And I remember her girlfriend made a post of her. Katura actually got saved and baptized 3 months prior to her dying. But she will always come in there and talk to me about God. But that came through her coming and listening to the stories that I was sharing and seeing how people had survived some of the craziest things. But the love for God that they had, she will always say, I want that. She will always say, Z, like, I want that relationship that you had with God. Like, I don't understand it, but I don't understand. And we would literally sit. So sometimes it's not even always necessary for the person that's watching behind the lens, per se. It was literally Katura. She was in that studio, but she died and none of us knew. So I would say that was the biggest moment for me to know that despite of all the trials and all the things that I had went through to do that show and still do the show now, the fact that I know that somebody came to Christ and she's literally living with Jesus and she's at peace, that was the biggest moment for me. Like, absolutely the biggest moment for me. So a lot of people don't know that, but that was a big moment for me.
That's dope. It's crazy because I literally was thinking about Couture.
Yeah,
Like I
I
really was. No,
listen.
no, dead serious. I
You
really
was
was.
there, you know. Yeah. That was
Yo, I
big.
really
Like
was.
she would inbox me, she would call me, and she would be like, Z, you just seem like you just so happy. And I'm like, girl, ain't nothing but Jesus. Like, I'm just being honest because I ain't even want to be here today. Like we would always talk. But when she heard my story about how I had overcome being molested and all of those different things and really all the stuff that I went through behind it, and then with my dad, and she was just see how happy I was about God. That was the door for us to open. But I didn't know she was dying. Nobody knew. So she got saved right before she died because of those conversations that we
had. Yo, that's deep. That's
Mm-hmm.
deep. So now I want to talk about like some of like the things you've done, like activism, and you also had some things that you did with like modeling and
I
stuff
did.
like that. Like
I ain't no
talk
model
about
though,
that.
bro. Don't do that.
Look, I'm like, look, hey Z, you need
Right.
to
Ain't
like
about to happen
no,
on this side of town, but
look.
no, I did.
All right, look, y'all. Z, she's really creative. She not like she had a leather jacket that I still
I
like to this
did.
day. Yo, that jacket, yo, that
I painted
I'm
that,
gonna need you to
John. I
make me
did.
one
I
of those.
painted that. I did. I painted that.
And,
That I painted a lot of stuff in that last show, but so I mean, basically everything that I paint, it comes from my heart because when I'm painting what I'm painting and when I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm literally putting a message on there. Like people don't like the first year that we did. Okay, so the epilogues, if people don't know it, this is a show that we do. It's called the epilogues, and it's basically a moral way. It's almost like telling a parable. Like Jesus spoke in parables, so we are indirectly telling people they need to get healed. Why? Because this is the things that is affecting our city through the people that we've lost and through the people that have survived, but they have gone through the stuff behind trauma. So that's what the epilogue is. And we use the arts to do it. But I would do things where I would like create a cross. I would like do it with caution tape, like things like I do stuff like that because again, you can't tell somebody where they need to be. So people always say I'm creative, but what I'm really just doing, I love to tell stories, but I don't like to tell people where they need to be. So the arts is a way that God has given us, whatever you do, whether you rap, you sing, you paint, you whatever you produce, like he's given it to us where we can tell a story in our own direct way. So that's all I'm really doing is I'm just telling my story or the story that's been given to me over and over again to help the people who need it in the audience, the people that may see it later, because I don't know who's going to see it later, to just basically understand that this is where you are, okay, cool, but this is where you're going, and this you don't have to remain here. So the creativity is just really just me telling stories. Like I just find ways to tell stories. So I use the arts, I use media, but it's all just me telling stories.
it's dope. It's dope.
Thank you. I actually have a show coming April 23rd. So a lot of people, I tell them about this show, but you can tell them like if they haven't been there and experienced it, I can't really explain it. I try to explain what it is, but it's hard to explain because you absolutely have to be there. And the first year that like, okay, when I talk about like tapping into my own experience, when Don was murdered, the first year that we did the epilogue, I dressed up a girl who I personally knew in the outfit that Don wore in her last photo shoot. And everybody had to see her mother go through those emotions and that for audience, this is what it's designed to do because people think it's a game when they take someone's life and they out here doing what they're doing. So I don't hold back with my stories. Like my stories are very raw the way that we do it, but it has never felt me yet because what is the word that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, what? And the word of our testimony. So this is just these are all different ways to tell someone's testimony. That's all.
Wow. That's crazy. I was going to actually talk about her a little bit too.
Who,
I know
Dom?
that was crazy. Yeah, I was going to actually talk about her because I had that, like, I had it like in my notes, and it's always happening every time I like write notes, and I try to like be like on like point and never work, and then like I'm like, no, I forget it, I throw it away. But yeah, I wanted to talk about her a little bit more because you know that was kind of tragic, you know, seeing that, and then like you know the families and stuff like that. Like you being an activist. Like, how is that? Because I know like it's hard for a lot of people that are activists and they're out in the street all the time, you know, helping people and doing their best. Like, how is that? How was that for you?
Truthfully, it's a gift and a curse. It is a gift to watch people. I went to share my story about what happened to me and about what happened to Dom at I won't tell the program because I won't dishonor her trust. But I went to tell, and this boy had came up to her and said that came up to her after I left like a couple days ago, days after, and was like, "Yo, you had that lady come out here, and you don't even realize my uncle was molesting me the whole time." So I've had that happen. This was recent. And then I've had it where I've gone and I've told Dom's story and I see a girl in there crying and stuff like that because of the factor of, you know, seeing the poster boy for that. You know, a lot of these girls are in relationships with a lot of these dudes. And that's not Dom's story, but they're in a relationship with a lot of these dudes where they don't think that'll happen to them. These bullets don't have no name. And like, we're really losing a lot of women out here. So Dominique's story is definitely tragic because she was the poster for, like, she was the poster boy kid. She sang, she loved Jesus, she dressed nice, she was beautiful, very respectful, had great grades, but she's gone from one simple factor of stepping into a bar to get some food and somebody thought that she was attractive. They got in an argument and now she's not here. So that in itself, I don't like to say that it surprised me because it's sad that we think if somebody's standing in a corner that their lives going to be taken, and that's not what it should be. But it did, where I just never thought it was going to happen to her. So Dom's story absolutely changed the way that I just approach life because I didn't expect that call to be her. I'm gonna be honest, I got a brother that was in the street. I would have expected that call before hers, and I didn't get it. And he's still here, and I'm grateful, and I pray for him, but it's what it is. So that really just allowed me to see that God will, in his infinite wisdom, will do whatever it is that he desires to do. And he'll do it in a way to get our attention. And a way to get somebody's attention is to do something that you don't expect to do. I didn't expect that. So being out here and being an activist and talking about Dom in that way, I presented that way because these kids think they're going to live long. They think nothing can happen to them. And that's not the story. She is absolutely the look and the feel of it could happen to anybody because she was not ever in trouble or none of that, but she's dead and she was murdered.
Wow. Yeah, that was a deep story. Deep right there because it's crazy. All right, like I see like a lot of young kids, like, you know, I seen somebody that I knew that actually found out it was a family member. They got killed. They were young, and I just actually was thinking about like how you got a lot of like young people that are out in the street, you know, selling drugs. They're like younger and younger. Like when I was younger, like you had like a lot of older guys, you know what I mean, doing it. Or you didn't have as many young people doing that. Was not like a bunch
that's
of young
definitely
people
the wave
doing
there.
it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that and seeing that like almost every day?
Well, I don't see it. What I think is that it's because it's the narrative that's being painted, which is why with the museum that I'm doing is I'm focusing more on the healing side of the journey compared to the death side, like consistently telling all these stories of what happened. I really being focused on sharing people surviving and coming out of their circumstances. It's the narrative being painted. These kids are on social media all the time. When you consistently being painted the picture that you're the poster boy to die, or you're supposed to be the poster boy where you're supposed to have all this money and do all these different things. This is the narrative that's being painted. And again, if you don't, like I told you earlier, I didn't have a father who told me what life was supposed to be. I didn't have that. I had to figure that shit out on my own, like just being honest. So they're figuring it out on their own. And people see them on these corners and they automatically just say that they're lost cause, but that's not true. I might not have been standing on a corner, but I definitely was doing my thing. It was just in a way that people didn't know. People always laugh, but we had the party line. So I think a couple of my friends were here. Listen, bro, I was discreet with what I was doing. I might not have been standing on no quarter, but I definitely was promiscuous out here. Like I definitely was tapping in and tapping out. Nobody knew. So this is just a way that people see it because it's out in the open. But people kill me and make it seem as though they never did nothing. I know what I was doing. People just didn't. Lonnie laughing. She see it. That's one of my best. Listen, we had our names. We had it set up. We was on that thing. So when I see that, I just see that as a cry for help. When I was doing what I was doing in there, it was just a way for me to feel seen because what I went through, I didn't feel seen. And I was, Sean, you see it? Look, these my girlfriends. They know what I'm talking. They know what I was doing. Like they know. People don't really understand. Like y'all see this girl, and I love God and all that. But listen, I was out there. I was definitely doing my thing, and nobody knew. So I just see it as a cry for help. I don't come against it. I don't make fun of them. That's somebody's kid out there, and they just want to be seen. And this is what causes them to be seen because they think this is what it is. This is what they're showing, that when you got a bunch of money and a bunch of cars and a bunch of women, that's the lights, right? But when you got a job or you starting a business, who's sharing your stuff? So this is what they feel like they need to be seen. For me, at that time, I was still dealing with the effects of being raped. So I felt like what caused me to be seen was a man. So I dealt with a lot of different men, and that's just what it was. So I just take it that I have the same story. We just have a different narrative, but it's the same narrator. God is still the same. He's still doing this thing in all of our lives, and he's still working their lives out. So if people can really take a step back and look at themselves and every person that you meet, you will find that y'all really running the same person. Y'all just in a different part of your journey. Definitely God's favorite, Sean. Listen. Yo, they know. Those are my girlfriends. Like we've been friends since elementary school. Those are my girlfriends from elementary. So they know.
That's dope, man. See, I don't know that Z. I don't know that Z, but I know.
Trust me. She popped out. She popped. She a real. Trust me.
But it's that's crazy. I'm trying to think about something else I want to tell you. The next thing I want to tell you. All right. So, like, you was with different organizations. You did a lot of things. So, like, tell me about those organizations and how you connect and you were able to get your voice and your platform out. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say your platform.
So I would say the biggest organizations that helped me to get my voice out was first Philly Cam. I took a $75 class and created a whole entire company off of that. I did not go to school for journalism. I didn't study any of it. Charles Postel was actually, who's one of my close friends. His mom just passed away, so I'm going to his mom's funeral on Friday. But he was our teacher. You know, he taught the classes, because you went to Philly Cam. And I remember going in there and feeling so overwhelmed, bro. I didn't know how to push a button. I just knew that I wanted to help people to tell their stories, and this was how I had to get there. So Philly Cam was actually one of the greatest places that I can say, because they accepted what my message was. Looking the way that I look and being the way that I am has, again, kind of been back and forth for me. I always say I'm very churchy for the world, but extremely worldly for the church. I say it all the time, anytime somebody asks me, because my look and my feel, people always think I'm not saved. But if I go in a church, if I go outside, because of how I set my life apart, I'm too churchy. So they didn't care about none of that. They didn't care about anything besides what I wanted to do and how did I want to get there. And they helped me to do that. So Philly Cam, absolutely. That was my first award for media when I won for my Innovator Award. So that was big for me, because my message was just simply that you could be somebody great. You can survive this thing. So for that to be seen, and people that didn't even live what I live, like, the type of people that be in Philly Cam, and I'm not coming against them at all. We just come from two different worlds. But for them to see that and honor me like that, and then gave me like the ambassador award, like, that was big for me. And then that's where we met Couture. So that was my first one. My other the other couple organizations I would say would be No Gun Zone. People come against him all the time, and that's my bro. He has supported me. I watched this man like really, really do his thing behind the scenes and really sacrifice for his family. But he's really a real friend. Like, he's never changed. When I move, he would call me. Like, that's definitely been my friend. But mine's bounded by grief as well, because when Dom passed away, I'm not a mom. It's called Moms Bounded by Grief. But when I went, like, they straight accepted me. Like, I was like, I told Ms. Rosie, I said, I don't really know how I'm supposed to be, because I'm just a friend, but this thing is affecting my life and I need help. So I would go, and they would take me to different events. We did events together, and I would wear their shirts, but I wasn't a mom. But they allowed me to process my grief and talk about Dom the way that I needed to talk about her. And now here it is that we're doing this. So I would say those are the three organizations that helped me out, because they've accepted me for who I am and allowed me to press my message forward.
Wow, that's dope. So your message, how did your message change the young people that you run into, their mindset, their perspective on life?
When I was teaching, when I was teaching through Philly Cam, but I was working at something called Norris Community Alliance right before COVID. And the way that I had it was called I Am Media. And I would go in there and I would bring people like you're bringing me on now. And I would bring them to share their stories. And they had to listen to the hard stories, like people that had been through some stuff, because these kids was court ordered there. and they would have to dig out the pieces and then create
Mm-hmm.
interviews and then interview the person by the end of the day. So they had to be quick on their feet. And how they were rewarded was I would take them into the real studio and they would put on a real show. But I've watched little boys cry in there because I would have weeks where we would have no guests. They were the guests. So they had to get up there and tell who they were, what they was going through at home, what they was going through in school, and be honest. And so we was finding out what they was in there for because of the trauma that they was going through at home. So when I watched how that worked for them, and these kids, when I first went in there and they was barely talking to me, I remember calling my girlfriend Monique like the second weekend, like, listen, sis, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Because one girl called me a B and I said, I get off at 6 o'clock, sis. I don't work it. Like, I'm not a teacher, so I don't listen. Like, if this is what you want to do, we're gonna have to. This is what we're gonna do after class. So, yeah. But I had to really get my emotions together because one of the boys said, "Well, you only here for a check." To them, that's what I was there for. So I had to learn how to understand that they was where I was, but I watched them heal. I got one of my students out of there. She was in like foster care. She was being abused at home. It was 2 sisters being abused. One of the little boys was talking about how he was just like really in distress because of his relation with his dad. But it's because I asked them. And it was because I made them feel seen because they were literally the guys. They had to put on a show. They had to be the floor manager, the director, the camera person, the host. Like, they had to put the whole show together. So when you make somebody feel seen, that was how those kids was coming out. So that's a great example for me. I miss doing that. They had referred me to like the bigger program to do more around the city, but then COVID hit. So that was it because we wasn't in person and, Philly Cam had shut down. But I definitely want to do that again because that was a really dope time. That was a really dope time. And them kids was really healing for real at the end. It was like hugging me for real when I left, like for real when we was leaving out of class. And I was only there with them maybe like 8 to 10 weeks. I wasn't there long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got like a lot of love, man. And like, I appreciate you too. And I also want to say, I want to give you your flowers. And like,
I got some flowers.
Yeah, you got some flowers. I got some flowers.
What color is they? So go ahead. Thank you.
All colors. No, but there's serious because like I thank God for you, even from when I met you, and I like had the opportunity to be able to like learn a lot of stuff on your show. You know what I mean? Being a part of Philly Cam, and because I know nothing about this either. So walking into this, not knowing who I'm gonna meet and talk to, like, you know what I mean?
Thank you. I appreciate you, bro. And I appreciate you too because y'all were coming and y'all were crew on my show. And it's crazy because people think I just started doing what I'm doing. And you seen the grind for me down there when I was grinding, like, and at that time with Philly Cam, they didn't have a lot of marketing. So people didn't really know unless I ain't had the money for no marketing team. So I was just making it do what it do there. But I was on TV consistently for 6.5 years. And that was a grind. Like, I remember the first time I went on the Idol, who I was going to interview, I was calling my aunts, cousins, and everybody. Like, y'all want to come tell y'all story? I didn't care what the story was. We were just going to tell it. But I learned so much. And even going through, like, a lot of betrayal. When I started, it was me and, like, 4 other girls. And this one girl did all this slimy stuff behind the scenes. But just really the grind of it all really taught me a lot. So, I definitely appreciate y'all because y'all was showing with me when I was on them red carpets doing stuff. Or just y'all was just there. And so when people be like, "Oh, Z, you did this," like, no, man. Like, it would be times I would be in a bed talking to Miss Tony J, and she would hug me. I'm like, Miss Tony J, I don't even feel like doing this. Like, it's times that I had to walk from home, bro. Like, I left my 9 to 5, so I was walking to that studio because I ain't no money. But I'm like, I gotta go because this person is coming and they gotta tell their story. Like, it's a real grind to do this. So. You know what I mean? I definitely appreciate you saying that to me, but I appreciate you being there because I needed y'all faces. Like, I would look for y'all to be there because it's not easy to do this at all.
Yeah, it's not. It's difficult. You know what I mean? Creating it can be difficult, especially in this field.
Yes.
So, what else do I got for you, Z?
I don't know. You got something else to say?
What else do I got for you, Z? No. So like,
you already
know. All right, so what, huh?
You already know how I be. I'm in here burning up my old ass. Old.
No, Z. So like, so out of everything you did, out of everything you made, like how do you feel, from all the stuff you experienced, like how does that like make you feel now, knowing that despite of what you went through, despite of what you dealt with, like I'm somewhere where I probably never thought that I would be.
Without this show and when all that takes stripped away, I am absolutely just in awe in how God has kept me alive and how he has kept me at the same time, because I know that when I was really out there doing what I was doing, I was putting myself in some real compromising situations. We ain't had no cell phones. We ain't had none of that. Low trackers, all that shit. We ain't had that growing up. So I've had times where I was literally leaving somebody's crib, like a dude house, like 5 a.m, like just doing what I wanted to do by myself. And I made it home. And I know that I knew this one time, even though I was still in my mess. It was this one time, I think I shared this with you before, but I'll share it again. When I was like leaving this, I don't even know who the heck he was, bro. I don't know. But I was leaving his I was leaving his house and he didn't even want me to the bus stop. That tells you what type of female that I was sharing myself to be right at that time. And it was like 5 a.m. My phone died. I was trying to call my girlfriend and I was standing on like 5th, like, I don't know, somewhere down Puerto Ricanville, like 5th and Duncannon. You know how like all the Spanish people live around it. So it's down there. We call it Puerto Ricanville, just be honest. So, so I was down there and it wasn't a bus, the car, nobody came around there. And I knew if somebody would have snatched me off that bus stop, then nobody would have knew what had happened to me. And in that neighborhood, that's what they was doing at times, a bad neighborhood. And I remember it was like God had stopped time and made sure that I made it home. And when that happened, I still was in my mess. I'm being honest. I still was going back and forth. But that was the beginning for me to see like, yo, God is really with me, because I would hear of women doing things and they wasn't making it home. One time we was walking out this bar. My girlfriend Lacey will tell you this. We was drunk. I mean, to the fact where it was like 30 dudes in the corner. They would have partied. Like they was about to pull us into a house. These dudes pulled up that we didn't even know and drove us home. Pulled up, yo, y'all get in the car, we taking you home. Like these are the little things that God would do to make sure that what he desired for my life would be here. And people may think that that's small, but when you know that you put yourself in a situation and God supernaturally will come and get you out of that thing and then have you turn around and talk about those same things to free somebody else. I don't care about all the little accolades and stuff that people try to say with myself. And there's so much more that I'm doing and want to do. I know that when I stand before God, he will be pleased, and I will be pleased to know that he is my best friend and he loved me so much that he would just consistently watch over me when I didn't love him back. If you cannot accept that as being the greatest thing of your entire life, I don't understand it, because God doesn't have to do anything, but he does it. When it's times when I had $1 in my account and he'll supernaturally send 2 stacks in there from somebody will send me a seed. Like these are the things that he's done for me. So I just continue to watch him take care of me and love me in a way that I never thought existed. So that's the greatest thing for me. I can do all of these things here, but I can't take none of it with me. But when I stand before him, I know that smile between God and myself will be absolutely genuine. So I look forward to that. It's the only thing that honestly helps me to keep going, is to know that I have a guy and a friend who loves me, sees about me, knows everything about me, and still loves me through all of my mess and uses me the way that he does after I did all of that and didn't care nothing about him. That's the best thing for me.
Wow. That's dope, yo.
Yes, that's it. That's really it.
Real fast, I just want to see if anybody has anything to say.
Okay.
Anybody got any questions? Anything you may want to ask Zarinah?
Lord, I don't think
Nobody? We only got like 6 people. All right. So, Z, I want you to encourage some people.
Yeah.
I want you to encourage and motivate some people. I want you to tell them some stuff about themselves that they may not know, or they need to hear, or they need to just be motivated by. I want you to encourage them with something.
Well, hopefully they heard what I just said. But I would say that we are therefore Christ's ambassadors That is one of my favorite scriptures. Every single thing that you have gone through, God desires you. The Bible says that when do that same scripture, be reconciled to God. And basically what I'm saying by that is every single thing that we've gone has reconciled us to Christ's heart and understanding what he went through in order for us to live. So everything that every trauma that you've been through, it has literally got you to this place because of the factor that God desires to use it. When you can get that the suffering side of this life, if you don't believe in Christ, because I don't want to push that down everybody's throat, is absolutely not for yourself, but it is for somebody else to live. You can get through absolutely anything, because we look at the whole woe is me and why did this happen to me, compared to saying thank you that this did happen to me because you thought that I was so strong enough that I can handle this, that I can pull somebody else out. So if you're going through something, if you've been through something, if you can pull your emotions out of it and allow yourself to understand that this is for somebody else and take that and go pull those other people out of that thing, it will heal you from a place that you didn't even know that it can. Every single time that I share my story, every single time someone asks me a question, it has healed me to a place that I never thought that I can be. I never thought that at 15, the little girl who was still crying over what her uncle did to her would be here laughing about a lot of those things, saying thank you for a lot of those things, being grateful for a lot of these things. I know people and God in a way that is absolutely supernatural because of what I've experienced. So the experience is a blessing. It's the lesson, and it gives you strength. It gives you empathy. It gives you discernment. So hold on to the factor that God thought that you were so amazing that he painted that particular story for you. It is a story that only he has handcrafted for his work. And if you really let him do the work that he desires, whatever you believe in, it will absolutely blow your mind. So I would say if you're holding on to that, if you're angry, you have unforgiveness, if you let God honestly just come in and do what he desires to do, if you look back in your life, I won't even say 5 years from now, a year from now, where he will take you with that story will blow your mind. So the story is just, it is it's a gift. Like the suffering part of our stories is a gift. So I know that's a hard thing for people to say, but I say that to say, because I hear a lot of people say, why would God allow these things? But why not? Because if he could allow himself to suffer for us, why can't we suffer for somebody else to know him? But that's something that people have to get in their heart. That's a hard thing. And I don't come against if people don't get it. They don't want it. That's their that's their issue. And it's not a problem. But if you would allow him to take that thing, I promise you, where he will take you with that story will absolutely supernaturally blow your mind. So I can give you all of the other things and say, he'll give you a car and a house, but he may not. But he'll give you peace. He will give you joy. He will, even if you don't have a family, he's given me some of the greatest friends. Like you see my girlfriends on here. I don't even talk to them every day, but I love them and they love me back. Like we don't have to talk every day because we've had those experiences that has taken us to a place where we know that we absolutely in this thing with each other forever. So he will give you all of the things that you feel like you're missing. He will give that to you. He will give that to you. But that comes in allowing him to do that. Allowing him to do that. Like I told you, I used to try to call and read them. Oh, can you tell me what my life is going to be? Calling the psychics, all of those different things. Only for it to be that what I was looking for was simply already there. I was looking to find out who loved me and what love was, but he was already there. And when I had accepted that the love that I needed was already there in God, everything else that I was trying to find love in, I didn't want it anymore. It wasn't even a desire. So what you're looking for and what you're hoping for it's here. It's not gone. It's not coming. He was, and he's coming back. He is absolutely here and he's alive. So I would pray that you would get to know him in whatever way that you desire to do that. But when you do, I promise you, and this is off of experience, it will absolutely blow your mind because of the factor that he will use that story in a way that you will never expect it. Never expect that.
Wow. And that's dope. So, tell me the story because I know you was on different platforms and you were able to talk about, different things that you have done. And I know you've been over in LA and you've done some things, you've done some activism stuff, and you were able to talk to some people. Like what was those experiences like?
As an activist or like just being...
Well,
Go ahead.
Yeah, just being on different platforms and being able to speak to, you know, different types of people, different kinds of crowds, and you
Okay.
know, being able to share like your story.
I love sharing my story with homeless people because I love getting their story back. Like so I've been on a lot of different platforms, but a great platform is literally just a platform where you walk outside and talk to somebody. It's the greatest platform ever because it's amazing stories out there. So I've been on Good Day Philadelphia, BET, and I can't even name everything. I've been on the Q show. Like I don't even have to, I've been on a lot of different platforms that highlighted me as a person, but I would say the greatest platform is like just being outside with the people and whether they know them or not. I remember when we was in LA, when you talk about that, my friend Ryan from As I Plant the Seed came out there and we had went around and fed the homeless and God had us go out there and we was praying with these people and this man came up to me and watched me and was just like, I wouldn't even know the man knew God the way that he did. But he came up here and told me my whole life in a way that I didn't even know it. So it was, but he watched me. That was just like him watching how I was loving on people and stuff like that. So for me, I think, we get caught up in the platforms and the organizations, but if you go outside and have a conversation with some of these people, that's an amazing platform. So that's been an amazing platform for me. But when I will say, when I was at Radio One and I met Kathy Hughes is who started Radio One. If people don't know her story, it's a story that I hold on to because especially what I'm doing, you have to have like amazing women that you hold on to. So she had started Urban One with a $1 million loan. She was 33 at the time or something like that. She had just, her and her husband, she had just left radio and I think they had like a son, but nonetheless, she went to the bank 32 times and they told her no. And the 33rd time they gave her $1 million. This lady is worth like millions of dollars now. And it has helped a lot of people's career because we listen to the radio. I went to an event for Radio One and there was a lot of people standing around us. And this lady walked over to me and basically was like, there's something different about you. And she didn't even realize how I knew her story. But when she said that to me, I knew also that God was going to put me in rooms and that people saw me in that capacity because I didn't say anything. I was just in shock that she said it, but she walked over to me and was like, there's something special about it. She had gave me her information. But then when we talked, like her mom was sick at the time, so she couldn't mentor me. But it was just her saying what she saw. This lady has met the biggest superstars in the world. But for her to see me standing there and it's a bunch of people around, that was definitely a great play. Like in that moment on that platform, that was dope for me too.
Wow. And like you, I just want to say that, you're blessed, you're favored, knowing it.
Thank
and you. Seriously, because that's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say. I know that I probably just out of nowhere. I probably was weird.
No, it's cool.
Be like, that was weird. No. But like, Z, like you're an amazing person.
Thank you.
You really are. You really help a lot of people. No, seriously, and just like when you hit me up, and I hit you up actually, and you told me what you told me, like you literally have to like continue to like just be like strong. You know what I mean? Like
really, like the same for the week.
Like it's not, but like you got to because people are watching you. People do need you. You know what I mean? People do need the Christ in you. People do need you. So I just wanted to bring that to you. I just want to let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I'm telling you, I do. Sometimes you need to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, people need you, man. People need you. So, so talk about the events that you like put on and people are able to come and the kids are able to come and model because I know you got the event.
Yeah, this is what I'm working on right now. So I am in the process of starting an interactive art museum. It's 13 rooms of content where we'll tell the story of slain victims and survivors in gun violence, domestic violence, rape, and opioid abuse. Because the opioid epidemic is on the being out here and people are missing that. So that's the epilogues. We started that because, as I shared earlier, I started my platform on Philly Cam and I would tell the stories on, the TV show, but everybody ain't always comfortable in front of the camera. So I started that way so they would still feel seen. We can still share their stories. And we did it the first year, sold out, did it the second year, sold out. But I didn't feel like I had anything for them on the other side. So that's the show you're talking about. So April 23rd, we are actually doing that show again as a fundraiser. I found the building where we actually, it's 26,000 square feet. So it'll be 13 rooms of interactive content. I mean, interactive, like you might touch a person's face and you may hear their story, allowing you to feel their emotions, and a lot of different things that I'll be doing in there. But the other half will be art therapy, so it'll be like a music studio, a studio for media, because that's where I got my start, fashion, holistic therapy, and just mental health research on the site. Just basically allowing art to push people to the therapeutic side and start their healing journey. So that's what the museum will do. So I need to raise the capital for the building. I have had meetings with people around the city that's trying to help me, but a lot of the big things that I'm getting is that they can't give me money to buy a building, but they can give me money to renovate it, which I understand, because everybody can come ask for a building, they will have to give it. So I get it. So I have to raise the capital $300 and some $1,000. So just working on getting the people in that room for that space is April 23rd. So I will be announcing it soon. So that will be where people can come out. It is actually, like you said, it's still fashion and art involved in that. So it'll still be the same thing. So if somebody's interested in modeling and things of that nature, you are definitely welcome to be a part. If you have a clothing line, please let me know, because we do put all of that together. So I am working on that. And the reason why is because a friend of mine asked me, why was I having a fundraiser and not actually doing the show and letting everybody see it? So they, if they haven't experienced, they'll get to experience it now. And then this will be like the catalyst for us to get back into doing the art exhibits and stuff anyway in between. So it's April 23rd. Hopefully it'll be that day. If not, it'll maybe 2 weeks later, but I'm trying to get that capital up as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. That would be dope. Yeah. Let me know, because I want to.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hit me up. I would love it. Yep.
Let me know. So, all right, Z. So we're going to close this one out. We're going to shut it down. So you already encouraged some people. You already told them what they need and everything like that. I just want to let you know that you're definitely a special person.
Thank you.
You're special. You're special. You're special.
Thank
you know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
That, you know what I mean? Don't let that go. And that's it. So
thank you. I appreciate you having me. This has been a crazy week for me. Yeah. So I appreciate you having me on here.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming on the show, Z. I appreciate it.
No problem. And thank you for my friends. I've seen a lot of my friends and my family support me on here. I appreciate y'all, and everybody that watched too. I appreciate y'all just taking the time to even listen to my little story, because y'all could have been doing whatever y'all wanted to do.
Nah, story ain't little. It's nowhere near little. It's a big story that's going to change a lot of people's lives. And your story helped me, and your show helped me. So, it ain't nowhere near little.
Thank you.
And I'm serious about it. Ain't, So I appreciate you again.
Thank you. Same here.
Let everybody know where they can follow you if they need to follow you.
So I am simply Zarinah Lomax on every platform, Facebook and Instagram. I do not have anything cute, because I don't know how to do none of that stuff. So I just put my real name. It's my real name. But my God knew, because he gave me that. Whose name's Zarinah Lomax? Nobody. So I pop right up every time. I do have to create a page though for the epilogues, because that thing is about to take off with this museum. But Zarinah Lomax, if you have a story you want to share, if it's something that you may have heard and I can help you to get to some sort of therapy, because I do definitely know people that's around the city that will be willing to help you, please let me know. And I will be happy to do so. And even if somebody just needs you to pray or listen, I'm definitely a person that do it. I know I always overextend myself, but again, I wish somebody would have simply asked if I was cool. So if you're not and you really want to talk, you can DM me, inbox me. I will absolutely get back to you. Stop laughing, Sean.
Oh, snap. All right, Z. Well, if anybody want to follow me, you can also follow the show, The Encouraged Talk Show.
And please come out I'm sorry, can they come out April 23rd? Be on it. Please come and support, please, because we raising the money. I'm sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, cool. Yeah, go support. Seriously, go support, because Zarinah is awesome. She's amazing. You won't be disappointed. I'm trying to tell you. I know firsthand experience. She, like I said, she helped me out a lot. Little did she know, she really did.
I ain't realized, but I thank you.
Yeah, little you did. Seriously.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you again, guys. You follow me, The Encouraged Talk Show. You can follow Zarinah Lomax, and also let them know about your show. So
So I do still go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30. I go live tomorrow with this parent. So it's called Parents of Murdered Children. And this guy, his daughter was raped and strangled and murdered by a serial killer a couple years ago in Jersey, which is crazy. She was like 19. So he started a chapter here, and then the lady that helps him with it, her cousin was murdered maybe like 20 years ago, but it was unsolved. But I've never had a father come on, so I'm very excited for that. I got to reach out to him because I need some information from him. But I've never had a father come on, so he's coming on tomorrow with her, so they can share about the organization. But I'm gonna share their stories. That's the biggest part of the interview. And then I do the podcast Bridging the Gap, where I host with it. I was actually supposed to have it tonight, but this is God's plan to do this instead. So it's me. And it's a younger generation where we basically host together and we allow them to be a part of the conversation instead of us just talking about them. Like, we just was asking, they are a part of the conversation. So we talk about all things in the community, things that's in the culture, just all different things that they're going through and we're going through. And we talk about it together, but we interview people. That's how we talk about it. So that's every Wednesday at 6:30. You can find us live here or on PQ1 Radio. And then I always tell people you can just find me around and in the land of the living. That's where I am. That's where I am. I'm getting in there. Jesus gonna let me in. Y'all understand? He gonna let me in there.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Right up in there.
Yeah.
All right, Z.
All right, bro. Thank you so much.
Talk to you. Appreciate you.
Seriously. Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you.
All right, y'all. I appreciate you too. Have a good night.